This video is gonna be a rant. I'm gonna reflect about how do we face the biggest problems of the world. Let's go. LGBTQ people rights, protecting children from digital bullying, homelessness in big cities, how to welcome and how to manage refugees, youth unemployment, governmental help to young families, an ever-growing population of elderlies, how to pay all their pensions, how to deal with mental sicknesses like Alzheimer's, economic crisis, war in Ukraine, war everywhere else in the world, exploitation of third world country cheap laborers, new migrations caused by climate change, deforestation, illegal deforestation, desertification of Greenland, decrease of biodiversity, industrial agriculture, vegetarianism to combat industrial agriculture, veganism to combat industrial agriculture, zero waste practices, zero plastic practices. These are only some of all the problems that I can think of that we in the West, of course, have to deal with every day, every week, every month, every year. And I think every one of you will agree with me that it feels very overwhelming. And we don't know what problems to pick, what problems to focus on, because obviously we cannot focus on everything. They are so many. How do we decide which one to deal with? How do we decide if some problem is more important than the other? If you are strong-willed and you want to give your contribution to the solution to some of these problems, you gotta ask yourself, which one am I going to get into? And to me, the answer is and has always been the environmental problem. Let's say that I'm the owner of the house. One of those American houses all made of wood. Right now, I'm in a situation where the kitchen drain got clogged. I have no hot water. There are some problems in the water heating system. One of the bedrooms have a shattered window. And cherry on top of the cake, I just discovered that I have termites in the foundations of my house. Termites that are slowly eating all the wood of the foundations of my house. Now, what am I gonna do? What problem I'm going to tackle first and what problems are gonna be prioritized. Of course, my resources are limited. My time is limited. I have a daytime job. I have limited amount of money and I have all the people living in my house who are pushing me to solve their own problems. My sister is living in that bedroom that has the window shattered. She's cold. She cannot live in a room without a window. My nephew just got home from training. He needs to take a shower, but there's no hot water. My brother, he's in the kitchen. He needs to cook for the entire household. We need to have 3 meals a day. If I spend all my resources in the resolution of these first 3 very urgent problems, I would have no resources left to tackle the most important problem, which is the foundations of my house. It's worth nothing that I have hot water and a functioning plumbing system if my house collapses because the foundations are getting eaten by termites. Do we agree on that? The foundation of my house is what creates the most basic conditions for us to live in the house. In the metaphor that I'm building, that I hope you understood what it is, the foundation are the natural ecosystems that we humans live in on this planet. The ecosystem of the oceans, of the wetlands, of the air. Healthy natural ecosystems are the foundation of human life on this planet. And human life, if you think about it, is so fragile. I mean, I think we have all studied how human life came to be on planet Earth. It feels like such a miracle that Homo sapiens exists, and even such a miracle that life exists on planet Earth. We know how rare it is to have life on planets, or at least we can imagine, since we don't know how big the universe is, and how much life there is on the universe. But okay, let's not ramble here. Human life exists on this planet just because there were such specific natural conditions that made it possible, made certain chemical reactions possible so that organisms could breathe and feed themselves and thrive. We know how delicate and fragile these conditions are. And we've been lucky enough that for I don't even know how many thousands of years these conditions have remained more or less the same. There have been some variations, but not so much that our life on the planet was threatened. Now, because of the development of our society, we created mechanisms that allow for termites to chew on the foundation of our own house. So now we need to find a solution for those termites to go away or to diminish at least, and possibly to create new organisms that restore the wood that has been chewed by these termites. Sorry, I'm going too deep into the metaphor right now. I want to now focus your attention on two qualities that every problem that needs to be faced in general has to a certain degree: urgency and importance. Urgency is when a problem needs immediate attention. Each problem can be more urgent or less urgent. Importance is when a problem has a great value or a great effect. Its solution too has a great value or a great effect. So conceptually, I think that importance and urgency have also to do with a concept of time. Urgency has to do with time in its definition because it's something that needs immediate attention. There's no time to lose. We have to act now. Importance, though, is too something connected to that, because what defines something important is also its duration in time. If a solution to a problem is more long-term, it is more likely to be more important. Now, why am I talking about these two qualities? Well, because I'm going back to the starting point of this video, the starting question: how do I know which one of the many problems that there are in the world that our society is facing has the priority? Which one is more important? Even if you reflect on your daily life, you will realize that we have the tendency to tackle problems that are urgent rather than problems that are important. I think it's just our natural inclination. If something needs immediate attention, we are more likely to dedicate our focus to that thing rather than this other thing that maybe is more important, but I can do it later. We all tend to procrastinate by nature, right? We are all natural procrastinators, I think. Please tell me you are, that I'm not alone. So when it comes to deciding which problems of the world are the ones that should have the priority, I think that this concept of time needs to be addressed. So which problems have the greatest value and the greatest effect in the long term? I think if we answer to this question, we also answer to the question, which problem should I give priority to? In this sense, I think that environmental problems are the ones that affect most of the humans on the planet. They literally affect all of us, and they have the most long-term effect. Be careful. I'm not saying that we should all only focus on environmental problems or on the most important problems, because going back to the metaphor of the house that I was doing earlier, someone needs to replace that shattered window, otherwise we're all gonna freeze. Someone has to deal with the kitchen plumbing because we need to wash our dishes and eat 3 times a day. You know, I'm not suggesting that everyone should only deal with the foundation of the house. I'm just saying, if there is a lack of funds, for example, or a lack of resources in general, and I need to decide which one of the problems need to be sacrificed, I'm not gonna sacrifice the foundation problem. I'm probably going to live for a few months or a few years without hot water, or without a kitchen sink, or with some cardboard taped on my window. I think we are enough people in this world to deal with each one of the problems that the society has. And I think we need to address all of these problems, from the most important to the least important, from the most urgent to the least urgent. What I'm trying to say is, let's be careful of our tendency to set aside the more important problems to deal with more urgent problems. Because I have the feeling that we are waiting that the environmental problem becomes urgent in order to start tackling it, start trying to find a real, true, practical solution. And I don't think that's a good idea, because important, huge and complex problems like climate change is not something that can be solved with a quick solution once it becomes urgent. I think there is a hierarchy of problems that we have to face as a society, a human race nowadays. And it is my humble opinion that the environmental crisis is the most important, fundamental, and urgent one because it is linked with each individual on this planet, each country, each community, each minority. Everyone is affected by this, rich and poor, black and white. So yes, it is important to fight for the rights of minorities, social justice in general, to protect the vulnerable parts of each society. We need to tackle all these problems because most often they are all interconnected. Even if not directly, even if it's not completely visible, they are all interlaced with each other. And so we cannot just focus on one and forget about the others. But we need to keep in our mind the broader picture that there is a huge complexity of problems, and we are operating on only one little knot in this huge net of things that happen in the world. I don't know if this makes sense. I'll probably do more videos about this topic because it's really a huge topic for me. It's something that I constantly think about since I was probably a teenager. And then I gradually started thinking about it more and more when I became a voting citizen, a young adult, and now that I'm in my early 30s and I'm starting that phase of my life where I am most productive in the society and I'm probably affecting and influencing the society the most, I am really thinking about it every single day. To be honest, this was not a prepared video. I just improvised in front of the camera. These past few days I've suffered of a back injury, so I haven't been able to run my normal life. That's why I'm improvising this video. But I'm happy that at least I started talking about this topic on my channel because it's such a big and complex topic that I feel like if I wait to be ready and have a planned out video where I explain all my theory and my concerns regarding this, I would never do it. So I know it was probably a bit confusing. I hope you can get something out of this video. And please, as always, let's discuss in the comments. The comments are the most important moment of watching a video like this. So please, let's use this tool. I'll see you in my next video.